All right, everyone, welcome to my favorite lesson of the year. It is all about interest. This lesson is 3-1 and it begins on page 80, and it is all about savings accounts. So, first things first, most of you are probably 18 years old, and I think it's really important that as you become an adult, a real adult, that you get a savings and checking account. And that's what this chapter is all about, is bank accounts. So if you don't already have a checking and savings account, I would talk to your parents about going to a local bank and setting one of those up, because that you cannot learn how to manage your money unless you have a bank account to manage and to make mistakes with and then learn from. And one of the reasons why you would put your money in a savings account or in some kind of bank account is that it earns interest. So interest is money that you get paid for the bank to have the privilege to use your money. So you put the money in the bank. It's kind of an interesting thing that most people don't actually know. So your money goes to the bank. Okay? The bank is holding on to that money in their building. The bank then takes your money, and loans it out to people who are borrowing for things like mortgages, for car payments. They loan out your money. Those people pay interest to the bank, so they pay interest to the bank, and the bank pays interest to you. Now, unfortunately, the people who are paying interest to the bank for a loan are usually paying, anywhere from 5 to 25%. And the bank is paying you interest of maybe 0.5%. It's a very, very small amount. But they have to pay you something because they are using your money. So we are going to be calculating interest today, and this interest calculation is going to show up over and over and over again, and so it's really, really important that you remember this formula. And the formula is this: interest equals principal times rate times time. Okay, so let's kind of break down this equation a little bit. Principal is the amount of money that is in the account at any given time. Rate is going to be expressed in a percentage, and then time will be expressed in an amount of time. So if you look, it says business tip on 81 in about the middle of the page on the right-hand side. And it says that you can express time in the following ways. So let's kind of talk about that for a second. So if it says annually, that, of course, is just going to equal 1. If it says semi-annually, semi-annual is twice per year. So you're going to multiply by 1/2 or 0.5. If it's monthly, then you're going to multiply 1/12. So in your calculator, you would multiply by 1, and then just hit the divide button and divide by 12. And of course, if it is daily, it's going to be 1/365. And this will tell you how much interest was earned over time. So if we look at the example, it says that for 6 months, $400.60 at 1.5% annual interest paid semi-annually. We are going to take 460 cents times 0.015 times 1/5 because it was semi-annual, and we get $3. So every 6 months or semi-annually, we will make $3. Now, I don't have my calculator on me, so for my examples, I'm going to help you set them up. But then I ultimately don't have the answer. I'm sorry about that. So let's look at A. I'll just help you set it up. So A says, what interest is paid for 3 months on $860 at 2.25% annual interest paid quarterly? So quarterly and 3 months is the exact same amount. So we can either multiply by 1/4 or 3/12, and we will get the exact same answer. So I equals PRT, or principal rate time. So our principal is the dollar amount of $860. Our rate is 0.0225. There's that 1/4%. And our amount of time is either 3/12 or 1/4, just simplified. So that is how we would solve A. Let's look at B just to make sure we've got it. B says find the interest for 1 month on $350 at 3.1% annual interest paid monthly. So our principal is $350. Our rate is 0.031. And our time is 1 month, 1/12. Pretty simple. That is simple interest, so it's pretty easy to calculate. Next, we're going to look at compound interest, which is a little bit harder of a concept. And it does involve some tables as we get into it a little bit further. So let's look at compound interest. Okay, so compound interest says this. It says that if I deposit $300 into my bank account, or like into a jar, okay, and then I earn some interest of not very much, let's say $3, then that tells me that the next time that I earn interest, I'm not going to just be earning interest on $3 or just $300, but rather this entire amount of $303. So then I'll earn a little bit more interest the next month. Let's say I earn $350 because my principal is higher. It tells me that instead of just earning it on $300, I'm going to be earning it on $306.50. So it's going to be compounding bigger and bigger and bigger because my principal is going up each time, even if my rate and the amount of time stays exactly the same. So if we look at C, it says your bank pays 3% interest compounded quarterly on October 1st and January 1st. You had $700 on deposit on July 1st and made no additional deposits or withdrawals. Find the balance on January 1st. So this problem tells me that on 7/1 something's going to happen, and then on October 1st, so 10/1 and 1/1. And I'm looking for the answer on 1/1. So I deposited in July $700, so that's my principal. My rate is 3%, and the amount of time is 1/4. So if I multiply that out, let's see here. Oh, I'm going to go grab a calculator. Hold on. Pause. You can fast forward this part. Okay, so if I'm looking at a calculator, now that I have one, $700 times 0.03 times 1/4, I get $5.25. $5.25. So then the next month, or the next quarter rather, instead of doing $700, I'm going to add in the interest that I earned. So now I have $705.25. Now my principal changed, but my rate and my amount of time did not. So then this second quarter, instead of making $5.25, I'm going to make $5.29 rounded. Okay, so then on the third quarter, I'm going to take $705.25 plus $5.29. And that's going to give me $710.54. So on January 1st, it doesn't look like I'm actually going to earn any interest yet. So my total will be this much, and total interest will be, so my principal will still be $700. The amount of interest that I earned, $10.54. Okay? Out of all of the problems in this book, compound interest, I believe, is probably the most complicated out of all sections, all chapters. So let's look at D as well. And then if you have questions, jump back on the meet so I can help you. So it says you deposited $400 on July 1st. So that's our principal. You kept the money on deposit for 1 year. You made no deposits or withdrawals. Your bank pays 2.5% interest compounded semi-annually. What compound interest will you earn for 1 year? So my interest is going to compound every 6 months. So it's going to compound on the 1st. And then they want to know how much will be in there the next July. So the next July 1st. So for the first 6 months, I have $400 times 0.025 times 1/2, or 6/12, if that makes more sense to you. 6 months. So 400 times 0.025, I'm going to earn $5 interest. Okay. So then in January, my principal is going to be $405 times the same rate times the same time. So I'm going to earn, it doesn't change much because the principal's not changing that much, but $5.06. So then the next year I'm going to have in my account $410.06. That's how much will be waiting in my account. Okay? All right, so if you had to calculate compounded interest for years and years and years, you would have to do this over and over and over again until your face turned blue. So instead, there are things called compound interest tables. And we like these because they make things a lot easier for us. So if you look at page 82, there's a green table. And page 83, there is a blue table. So it's really important we know the difference between these. Green table is for periods of time. Okay, and then the blue table is for daily compounds. So if it has the word daily in it at all, then it is going to be the blue table. Okay, and the blue table is a lot easier to calculate than the green table. Okay, so when using the green table on page 82, you have to do a couple of steps. Okay, so step 1. You're going to calculate the interest rate per period. Okay, so it gives us an example. If it says 2%, so I'm looking at example 3. Find the compound interest paid on $400 that earns an annual interest of 2% compounded quarterly. So quarterly is 4, the interest is 2%. So we take 2% divided by the amount of time in 1 year, this one being 4 quarters. Okay, then we take step 2, find the total periods of time. So in this case, it was 4 quarters over the course of 10 years. So we're going to have 40 quarters over the course of 10 years. So once we've found step 1 and step 2, we will use those numbers to find our multiplier. And then in the end, our formula that we're ultimately looking for is principal times multiplier equals the interest. Okay? Okay, I know that's a lot. So I know you're probably going to have questions. So please let me know if this isn't making sense. So let's look at E though. E tells me what compound interest is paid on $1,100, earning 3% interest compounded semi-annually for 3 years. So step 1, calculate the interest rate per period. So the interest rate is 3%. And it is semi-annually, and semi-annually happens twice per year, so it's going to be 1.5 as my first number. And then step 2, find the total number of periods of time. So we have 3 years. Oops. We have 3 years, and it is semi-annual, so I'm going to multiply it by 2. So I have 6 periods of time. Okay, so using 1.5 and 6, I find that my multiplier is 1.093443. And I'm going to multiply that by my principal of 1,100. Okay, so that brings me out to $1,202.79. So of that, 1,100 is what I started with, and 102.79 is my interest. Okay. All right, so let's try F. F says a deposit of $720 earns 1% annual interest for 7 years. What compound interest will the deposit earn? So step 1, calculate the interest rate per period. So I have 1%, and it is annual, so I just multiply by 1. 1%. And then I have 7 years, and it's annually, so I have 7. 1% and 7. So if I look at 1% and 7 on the green table, I'm going to multiply by 1.072135. And my principal on that is $720 in the problem. So if I multiply that out, I get $771.94. Of that, 720 was my original number, therefore my interest is $51.94. Okay? All right, we're almost done. I know this lesson is really hard. So when we're looking at the blue table or the daily interest table, you don't have to do any extra steps. You just take what it gives you in the problem and find where it meets in the middle. So it's a lot easier than the green table. So let's look at G. It says a $850 savings deposit for 2 years earns 3% annual interest compounded daily. What will the compound amount be in 2 years? And how much interest will be earned? So we have 2 years, 3%. So we're going to look on the table at 2 years and 3%. My multiplier is going to be 1.061834. I'm going to multiply that by my principal of 850. And that will give me $902.56. Of that, $850 was my original number. So I earned $52.56 is my interest. Okay, so some things to look out for as you do the problems is if it says daily, that is the blue table. Anything else is going to be the green table. Make sure that you follow each step as you go through that blue table. And if it's just a simple interest, then you just need to use the original formula right here, principal rate and time. Please reach out if you have any questions. This is a very hard unit, and so I'm happy to help you. We need lots of practice in this area, so we're going to go ahead and do page 85, numbers 7 through 22. Okay? Good luck.